Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I mean, no, just finish that statement, and then we're going to get into the actual, because I use this later.
And so the move is, what I was saying to him is that we have to utilize the industry to be able to communicate with folks where they are. The goal is, the biggest mistake we make in life is we meet people where we are. You have to meet people where they are and take them where they ought to be.
Yes.
And if you are authentic about what you're doing, then you're going to find, how do I make that entryway? Because it has to be an entryway. And what I find, and you see it as an educator, that people are in a lot of pain. And these babies, by the time they get in the classroom, they're broken in many pieces. And so you want them to sit at a desk and say, we want you to multiply and divide. They say, man, I'm divided.
Literally. I'm multiplying it, right? The apples and the oranges I have to bring my mother, or you know what I'm saying?
Right. And, I just got, last night, my best friend was just shot. And, so I'm just saying, this is what these children are saying.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
yeah. They're saying, I just saw, dad try to draw mom out the window again.
Right.
I'm like navigating, I'm walking to school every day, and every 80-year-old is trying to hit on me or try to get me in the building, or I had to sleep with my coat on last night because all the male members of my household are trying to, molest me. So what are you doing about that? Right. So when Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, shelter, clothing, before you get to self-actualization, they say first we got to take care of people's basic needs. And if schools are not taking care of basic needs, we have to have food pantries in schools.
Oh my God!
We have to have washers and dryers in schools.
Yes, we just implemented one in ours.
Yeah, you got
last year. We just did.
You have students. Right. I'll never forget, these students came to meet me when I was state senator, and they were like saying, we not going to school because we have a real, BO problem, man. We had a body odor problem. Our clothing can't get clean. We don't have money for Tide. We don't want to sit here. We had college students in CUNY dropping out because, they were embarrassed. And so I have to make sure school is not within the sterilized environment of the classroom. I need to figure out, how do I develop your full person? And what are all your needs that will prepare you for learning? I cannot say, come in the classroom, baby, why aren't you learning? I got to find out, what are your needs? So that you'll be ready to absorb this stuff that I'm getting you. And that's what we're missing.
It's so crazy because as a teacher, I always say, like, we have the deans in the hallways, right? And sometimes they'll come in the middle of my classroom and they're like pointing out a student to take off their hat or to pull off the hoodie. And for me, I'm like, that's their, imagine, right? This is my getup. This is my gimmick.
Right.
I come dressed. Right. I'm going through what I'm going through at home, and I'm coming dressed in a specific way that I feel comfortable.
Right.
Sometimes, 2020, when the masks came out, we still can't take the masks off of some of these kids.
Right.
Because they felt so comfortable either covering, they found a new piece to cover their face. And I say that to say that we're worried about the wrong things in the classroom.
So deep.
Let's leave David with the hoodie on.
Right.
Because he works better that way.
Right. And that comfort, listen, we're all liners.
That's right.
We all have that blanket. We all sucking our thumb.
That's right.
We all walk around. We may act like we don't.
Yep.
But trust me, that Hennessy is your blanket.
Hello.
That blunt is your blanket.
Hello.
Hello. Going out to the strip club. That's your blanket. we all are liners.
Yes.
That was the most significant character on Charlie Brown, is the person who was walking around with a security blanket. We begin to believe, because we're older in life, that we no longer sucking our thumbs and holding the blanket. Like hell we are, man.
That's right.
I'm liners.
I heard a comedian the other day say, why is it that when the babies are crying, crazy, right? Babies are, you got a baby crying for hours. They're not giving the baby no pills. They're saying, give the baby love. Give the baby a blanket. But now I'm crying for hours and y'all throwing pills at me and y'all saying I'm mentally not okay, right?
Right. No, so true. And so you being an educator in the classroom is so important, because you have to have authentic educators that's in the classroom, that the children are going to rush in to see.
to relate to.
Right. And they're going to have real good conversations with and share, those vulnerable moments and be inspired on what they can do. And then we have to show that you can do these positions and still be authentic.
Yes.
We have to be authentic in these roles. The chancellor needs to be an authentic chancellor.
So,
The police commissioner, Eddie Caban, first Spanish-speaking police commissioner in the history of the city, he has to be authentic. When you walk in the classroom, you want authentic. We're a big believer, particularly people of color.
Oh my goodness,
We think we have to, become something other in order to hold a position of authority. I'm a bald-headed, earring-wearing mayor. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not going to fit the description. A lot of people would look and say, oh, you know what? He doesn't fit the description of what a mayor is. He doesn't, okay, he goes out at night and he smokes a cigar. And you're damn right.
He's human.
Right.
And, right?
Duh.
What's so crazy about that to me is that I feel like we've prayed for situations like this. I feel like we've always wanted a mayor like you. And then we get a mayor like you who has lived, who comes from the hood.
Right.
And now we're doing nothing but throwing rocks and we're beating you down. And we're like, do you know what it took to get here?
What?
Do you know what? And this is why we're going to start this right.
Yeah, right.
Pull-up show, Jacina Love. Right. We are here with the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. What an honor.
No.
A true honor, especially for me, who's a teacher. And I mean, this is like home for me.
But
to be able to sit with you.
You pulled up right into City Hall.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying?
They might better than this. I don't know about any other interviews after this, because if it ain't City Hall or something, like, I don't know what we're going to
do. And I think the authentic show, and we enjoy doing this. We don't just do the Channel 7, Channel 11, the local tabloids. We like doing these real authentic shows because by the time people have their impression based on what they read, they walk away with a lack of understanding of who I am. And, it's the same that has been done over and over again to bring down people who are really concerned about everyday folks.
That's right.
Listen, I'm a perfectly imperfect person that's running a city that's made up of perfectly imperfect people.
That's running the craziest city in the world, right?
You can't imagine.
we don't say none of that when we want to talk our shit. We don't say none of that, but
right.
Like, come on, let's.
And we're doing it. That's it. The key.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, as a community, we're doing it.
Yes. No, we're together.
And we're gonna talk about that too. There's a lot of policing going on in the hood, and it's good. It's all good for, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But again, the craziest city in the world.
It is. It is. People don't realize it is the number one city on the globe.
Yes.
Number one city on the globe. And I'm hoping that people will look at me and walk away with what possibilities are. Here you have a young man that is dyslexic, grown up.
We're gonna get into that too.
Grew up, being bullied and teased that I was a dumb student. I used to not even want to read because people would mimic me the whole day in the cafeteria. Children are cute, but they could be mean.
Children are worse than serial killers. God bless, and I don't mean that in any way. But when I'm saying to say that a child will be so raw, they're mean.
Yeah, and
they're
that's
raw
what that
and
mean.
Was.
That's what it was. And so, my brother and I, we felt on the wrong side of the law. We were arrested as young children and assaulted by police officers. And so I like people to know I don't shy away for my lack of perfection, and I always say, listen, a person who was dyslexic, arrested, rejected, could be elected to be the mayor of the most important city on the globe. And so what it says to people who are in school right now on learning disabilities, they can say, wait a minute, my man has a learning disability. If you're sitting on Rikers Island right now, you can say that, listen, my man had problems with the law. And so mommy told me a dark place is not a barrier, it's a planter. And all I'm doing is living out the harvest of that planting. Because every moment I had, if you think about it, every moment you had that you felt as though you were in a dark place, it was a moment that God and the ancestors were speaking to you. It was saying, pause for a moment and listen to the universe. Stop just moving, moving, moving. Everybody's trying to get out of those dark moments instead of saying, I'm here for a reason.
That's right.
Everything I've ever gone through, which was dark periods in my life, I learned to say, pause. You're in it for a reason. God is, the universe is trying to communicate with you. So you need to just sit down and shut up long enough to hear and stop feeling as though, let me just move through it the moment. Because you can go through life or you can grow through life. And I'm just trying to
all
grow.
the gems today. You came with all the gems today. That's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, I want to congratulate you. Your story is remarkable. To go from a troubled youth, right, to come into the mayor of New York City. I can't even imagine what that process has been like.
Oh, it's been transformative, and it really, and I can't say enough about my mother. She transitioned when I was running for office, but she has just been my inspiration. Mommy worked 3 jobs to hold on to our house, and with 6 children. And through her, I just learned never to surrender, never to give up, and believe in yourself. That lack of belief, and you told what you can't be.
That's right.
If you just belief is so powerful. If you believe, you can transition to whatever level. And I take a lot of notes on different stories of people who have overcome the obstacles and been able to reach their full potential.
I always said, right, when I was a little girl, I thought about politics and it was like untouchable. I thought me growing up, it was something that if you don't know politics, you don't talk politics.
Right,
and if you're not learning, so I grew up with that idea that it was like, think about to be the president of the United States.
Right.
And now we're in such a beautiful place.
We are.
Where we have a mayor like you who has came from the same city. I'm a Brooklyn girl.
Right.
So Brooklyn in the building.
Right. Still there. And what we have part of what I believe we must accomplish. We know how to hate on each other. We have to learn how to love on each other.
Yes.
And not buy into the narrative. What we've done in this city is unbelievable. I think that when people doing a full analysis of this administration, not only is it one of the most diverse in the history of the city, with so many first Spanish-speaking man to run the Department of Correction, first woman to run the police department, first woman to run the fire department, first Spanish-speaker to run the Department of Correction, first Trinidadian deputy mayor, first Dominican deputy mayor, first woman to be the first of color to be the first deputy mayor, first Korean to be in charge of small business services. I mean, you could just go over and you see the diversity, people who look like the city are running the city, and all of them have powerful stories. But then we inherited a city where we had a 40% increase in crime, and you wanted to talk about law enforcement. Our children were not learning at the capacity that they deserve. Our foster care children were not getting the support that they deserve. NYCHA residents were not having high-speed broadband and telemedicine and remote learning. Jobs were hemorrhaging in the city. We were not building housing. 2 years later, I've been mayor for 2 years and 8 months. We have more jobs in the city of New York in the history of the city. We dropped Black unemployment in Black and Hispanic communities by 30%. Our students are outpacing the state in reading and math. 30% of our inmates in Rikers Island are dyslexic. So what are we doing? We're doing dyslexia screening, prevent them from going to jail because they believe they're dumb. We are investing in foster care children, paying their college tuition and giving them life coaches until they're 21 and giving them a stipend so they can go on with their lives. More small businesses have opened in this administration in the history of the city. More housing finance in 1 year, affordable housing in the history of the city in 1 year. More people transition out of homeless shelter to permanent housing in 1 year in the history of the city. More people have housing vouchers, have utilized the program more in 1 year in the history of the city. 17,000 illegal guns off our street, decreasing homicide, decreasing shooters, decreasing the top crimes. Our transit system, sister, we have 4.1 million people that ride our subway every day. We have an average of 5 felonies on our subway system every day. We have the least number of robberies in the history of recorded transit crimes in our city. So all of that you're hearing, you have a city of 8.3 million people. If you say, I'm going to take the worst things that could happen in a city of 8.3 million people, and I'm going to put it on the front pages every day, people begin to internalize that. And if you're thinking, oh, my city's out of control. City's not out of control. This is the safest big city in America.
And for people like me who have been around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in the good ways, though. Been around. Taking the trains in the 90s, I remember the crime and what was going on. I remember not being able to, my father always telling me, don't stand by the doors. They could just come, rip the chain right from the door. We're not really seeing that. We're not. But we're focused on the
worst thing that could happen in a city of 8.3 million people. That's what you see. The newspapers say, if it bleeds, it leads. And if you're reading it every day and you're not hearing on how we turned this city around, so it gives the impression of a city where you have the first black speaker who's in the city council and the second black mayor manages through COVID, 207,000 migrants and asylum seekers.
Gosh, yes.
We managed the city through all of this, but there's this hidden little agenda, or they don't know how to manage the city. We're doing it. The city's the top city in America.
And it's so sad that, just like you said, right? Let's go back to that whole idea of we have to love on each other more.
Right.
I feel like we are so conditioned.
Yes.
To see the wrong.
Right.
Like even in our relationships.
Right.
Oh, he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. But he comes home every day and you have food. And so there's that balance. There's always the balance. So where's the balance, my people? Because I always feel like, again, we are seeing the colored people in the offices. We are there.
Right.
So how do we, as people, learn to understand that? And enlighten.
What you're doing, you're is so powerful. The 100,000 people that you reach, you are compelling people to think for yourself. Don't allow someone to think for you. Like I said, I don't fit the mold of who people want to be mayor. There's never been a mayor like me in the city. And so there's a culture shock that people are going through. And so when you're able to come on and we have these real conversations, people have to sit back in their chair and say, wait a minute, this guy turned the city around. And they stop being the echo chamber of saying, I'm just going to hate on you. I'm just going to hate on you for creative ways. Because we're creative. Like, think about what they said about even VP Harris. Folks that say, I don't want to support her because of the way she laughs. Come on, man. Are you kidding me?
And then people who run with it.
Right.
The new one. Oh, she's not really a black woman. Like, oh my God.
And we buy that, man.
Like, and there's people, my son, 17 years old, came to me. He was like, Mom, are you sure she's black? And I was like, come on, we gotta be smarter than that. We gotta be smart. He was like, I don't know. They were showing a picture of her father. I'm like, okay, and we never seen a light-skinned black person? Like, I am confused. What's happening out there?
But that's why using your platform, because people don't get their news in a traditional sense anymore. They're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. So you have to be able to balance in what you're doing on your platform. Even as I know it's a big pet peeve for you, mental health. We're seeing an increase in suicidal ideations.
That was my next thing to get into.
Increase in depression. Social media has hijacked our families, not only children, but even adults.
Yes.
And so when you balance it out with a good, healthy conversation, that's appealing and that's authentic. People will pause for a moment and not get some of that junk food, because people often look at our brains. Our brains is a duplication of our body. And, if you eat the wrong food, you're going to have obesity. if you have the wrong things being fed to your brain, you're going to have emotional obesity. So there's a lot of people who are dealing with some emotional obesity because they're junk fooding every day. If all you're looking at is the junk food every day on social media, your mind is going to start to get unhealthy. Your relationships are going to be unhealthy. Your interaction with people is going to be unhealthy. You're going to start doing unhealthy things. And so we have to balance, because it's cool to have some junk food every once in a while, but that can't be your primary diet.
And it's cool to have some junk food for the shits and giggles of it, right? You know what I'm saying?
Man, right.
So we got to keep the information just like that. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, her daughter's pregnant, and she was like, oh my gosh, she came to me that she needs to see the baby on a sonogram. She hasn't seen her in a month. And she needs to see the baby on a sonogram because what if the baby's missing fingers? And what if and I was like, and that on TikTok she heard this, and I was like, it's so crazy because I remember being pregnant and only having a book to read, right? And I would only, when I wanted to read, that was when I got my little information.
Right.
Now we're overstimulated with information. Even without wanting to read, they're going to give it to you in videos. They're going to show it to you.
It's unbelievable with these children. Yes.
It is unbelievable.
And she said, what if he's missing fingers? Well, love him.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
how about that?
And my thing is, I never knew a sonogram was looking for that. I didn't think we were looking for that in a sonogram, but okay, listen, the technology is different now.
How about loving him or her?
How about the women who can't be in your position?
Would do anything.
Would do anything to even have a baby with
exactly.
Oh my God, just to have a baby.
Yes.
Oh man.
And that's what my hat's off to those parents who are dealing with children with special needs.
Oh my God,
those are special parents.
That's right.
Because they want the same thing. That's why we lean into, there's a young lady in charge of an organization called My Time Inc., where she deals with families who are dealing with special needs, and she gives the parents some time so they can, just really gather themselves. And we really focus on that. Mental health is a real issue. We have something called teen space, where we allow young people to use their phones for 24 hours, 7 days a week, access to a mental health professional when they're going through a mental health episode or issue.
That's beautiful.
And 65% of the people who are using them are stating they feel better after the conversation. And I'm blown away how many Black and brown young people are using it, because we're honest with ourselves in our communities. We look down on if someone said, listen, I'm going through something. We basically say, suck it up, go to church and pray, go to the mosque and pray.
Yep, that's right.
When, when we should be, we're praying. Yeah, we're praying for God to give us the services we need so we can deal with what we're dealing with.
That's right. That's right.
And so we're excited about Dr. Fassan is leading that. We did a whole forum on the impact of social media on young people and adults. This is one of those things that is not even gender or age specific.
That's right.
Because a lot of adults are hooked on the phone. These phones are like crack.
I think it's worse than that era. I think it's worse. I've seen people. I've been with people over 24 hours, and I'm like, whoa, I haven't seen 5 minutes of that phone being out of that person's hand.
Right. No. We have to really start looking at this new introduction. Because think about it, our smartphones is relatively a new introduction into our lives.
Right.
It's not like it has been here for 50 years or 7 generations. This is a new introduction. We need to ask ourselves, what is the impact of it?
Yes.
What is the impact on our behavior, our brain development, on how it's going to consume us? And we have not really examined that.
What's crazy is how our parents just be like, get off that TV.
Right.
It's going to hurt your eyes. Why parents ain't saying that no more?
Right.
It's the same thing, but closer. Now the TVs are way closer.
And now that item that they told us to do, I tell Jordan all the time, I'm your dad. And he's a young adult now. He's in his late 20s. But for those parents who are raising children now, I pray for them. It's hard. It's hard being a parent. They've been inundated. And you see it. You see it in the classroom.
Oh my
goodness!
I'm even excited that my son's already a little older. He's 17 because I'm seeing what's coming in. I'm seeing a lot.
But you're an example for him.
Yes.
You know, you engage, you involved. Yes. You know, I'm sure that he feels comfortable of being able to talk with you.
And it all starts from home. Look what you said. The first thing you said was mommy.
Yes.
Right? It starts from home.
It does. It really does.
That's where the heart is.
It is. It is. You know, and that's what we want to bring our young people and their parents closer together. We have to start talking again. You know, it blows my mind that my first communication course I took when I was in college. Nothing is going to impact your life more than your ability to be a deep listener, seek to understand so you can be understood. We don't want to listen anymore. We want to wait for folks to finish a sentence so we can tell them how long they are. We believe let's yell, let's scream, let's call each other names. This desire to be hurtful and harmful, we have to move away from that. And it's important that we start the process of how do we communicate. That's the greatest tool of a human being is the ability to communicate. And we don't teach our young people how to communicate at an early age.
Let's get back to the dyslexia.
Yes.
Because doing the screenings in the jails, and that's amazing. I had no clue of that. But you're also doing it in the schools.
Yes.
And I have a story to tell you. I was working with a 9th grader. And 3 months in, we couldn't get this kid to work. You give him a computer, he was so savvy with it. He was able to do all he could. But we'll give him paper, and he just wasn't connecting with it. He wasn't. I'm like, what's happening here?
Right.
And when we reached out to mom and spoke to mom, she's like, yeah, but, you know, I think he said in elementary school, they were saying he was dyslexic. And I'm like, that's huge. We need that paperwork. You gotta come in with that paperwork. I mean, imagine how he felt. So flipping this back to you and what you already explained to us on the feeling of being made fun of, but the fact that now we're doing screening for this.
Right. No, it's so important, you know, and much of what I do is my personal journey. Government has betrayed people. You know, my mom was betrayed when she had to work 3 jobs and not be able to provide for our family. My sister was betrayed. Instead of having a childhood, she had to raise the 5 of us. And she didn't enjoy the normal things that girls enjoy. When we needed food, they were giving us that hard-ass cheese to eat, which was laden with sugar, high blood pressure, powdered eggs and powdered milk. All this food is fed our healthcare crisis that we're feeding. So those betrayal, and I was betrayed as a child to not be diagnosed as dyslexic and believing I was dumb, believing I could not read, and the humiliation that went with it. I was like, why wasn't I going to school? I started running numbers. I started doing all the things that I should not have been doing. Only by the grace of God, when I got arrested by 15, it was a wake-up call because I humiliated my mother. And we all have to have something that inspires us. And seeing her in that precinct to pick me up and everybody's laughing at her clothing and, you know, her condition, it was like, I said, I'm not putting my mother through this anymore. And that was like my wake-up call. But I went through my entire public school K through 12 thinking that, you know, you're dumb. And she drove me so much that I went to college anyway, still struggling. And thank God I went to Queensborough Community College because that's when I heard the documentary about dyslexia. Someone else was watching. And I said, wait a minute, I'm dyslexic. And once I got the help, I went from a D student to being on a Dean's list. Wow. And when I go to Rikers Island, I speak to the young people there, and I ask how many of you have learning disability. It's unbelievable.
Yes,
8 out of 10 have. Right. So the crime is not always what they committed. Is what we have done, not to give them the support. So that's why we're doing dyslexia screening on Rikers Island. We're doing dyslexia screening for all children that are coming in our school system. So we can put them on a pathway of prosperity and not this.
And through your own experience.
Yes.
And personal that's journeys. What I love, the personal journey. Like even your health.
Right.
You changed the game for yourself.
Right.
When it came to health.
Right.
And as you said right now, that's also rolling over into the health situations.
Without a doubt.
Right?
Without a doubt. You know?
It's through the own personal experience.
That's what,
person can only, and to me too, a person can only rule through what they've been through.
Without a doubt.
And you're doing just that.
And we should bring people around us who have gone through some stuff that can help people who are going through some stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when I was, the doctor said I was going to lose my sight in a year. I was going to lose some fingers and toes. I had an ulcer, high blood pressure. I had the American package. Wow. And yes. The doctors wanted to just throw medicine at me. And, going back, dark place, sit through, listen. And I just heard I went and Googled and just changed. They gave me a pamphlet that said living with diabetes. And I sat down at the computer, just do research on it. And because that's what it turned out, I was late stage diabetes, type 2. And when I did research on it, I heard this word in my head, reversing diabetes. So instead of typing living with diabetes, I typed reversing diabetes. And all this information came up.
Whoa.
That's why you got to sit. Sometimes you just got to sit still, because the universe will speak to you. And you know what? The universe doesn't lie. We lie. The universe will tell you, you need to get that Negro out of your life.
All the signs are there.
You know what I'm saying? We lie, listen.
Like, no, but he's this.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's the voice.
The universe won't lie. We have to start being honest with ourselves and what the universe is. And so the universe put me on a pathway of eating healthy. In 3 weeks, my vision came back. My nerve damage went away. My ulcer went away in about 3 months. My whole body took a new shape.
We need the Eric Adams health plan is what we need out here. Because I want to do it.
And you know what was deep? That when I ran for mayor and I started talking about the connectivity between bad diet and mental health and physical health, they chewed me up. They were writing articles about this guy's a quack. How could he be the mayor of the city of New York? And he's talking about you could reverse disease. They tore me up. Yesterday.
Meanwhile, diabetes is something we're all dying of in the hood. What I'm saying? All of us. Right. Everybody should have been like this. Like, give us that plan.
Yesterday, the Daily News did an editorial talking about basically Eric was right. He was right.
Doesn't that feel good?
It's listen, they all gonna be saying.
And let me tell you something. Right. I feel like you've been leading, regardless of what they've saying, regardless of, I feel like you're not doing too much of trying to prove yourself. You're just doing the work.
There you are. That's what it is.
Like this is what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm not seeing you on saying no, they're lying about this or fake news or no. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
they're doing, listen, because sometimes appreciation is retrospective. People are going to reflect on my years as mayor.
That's right.
And they're going to say, this brother was authentic. He was a real deal. And they're going to see the results. Like, look at the migrant asylum seekers crisis. 200,000. 207,000. And many people don't know. I can't stop the buses from coming in. It's against federal law.
This is what I wanted to ask you. I wanted you to tell people there's things that are out of your hands.
Right, without a doubt.
Just because I'm running the city, there's things that are out of. They're gonna. Please,
trust me.
Please, let's get into this.
Like I said, 207,000. I can't stop the buses from coming in. The federal law prevents me from doing it. I can't say that I'm not going to give you 3 meals a day, educate 40,000 children, supply you with a place to sleep, wash your clothing, give you the medical attention you need. City law requires me to do that. I can't say, okay, I'm going to let you work. Federal law said, no, you can't. I can't even say, I had a group of migrants and asylum seekers that said, listen, we want to give back to the city. We want to clean up graffiti. We want to clean the streets. We want to volunteer and get a stipend. Federal law said, nope, you can't do that either. So I have 207,000 people who have come into our city, and the bulk of them have to sit around doing nothing at all. Just think about that. And it cost me $5.6 billion. Billion out of our budget. And we had to find the money. We only got something like 138 million from the federal government. The immigrant asylum seeker migrant issue is a federal problem. The lawmakers in Washington should be addressing this, and it should be funded by them. They dropped it into cities like mine, cities like Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, Washington. They dropped it into our cities, and we had to manage that. But on the street, cats are like, yo, what are you doing, man? Man, you giving the migrants everything and not giving us anything.
They're looking at the EBT numbers too. They're like, wait a minute, they got the 3,000, we got 250. What's happening? But with this breakdown you just gave.
Right. And let me drop this on you. There was an article about we giving them food cards. Mm-hmm. And they put in the paper, they giving hundreds of millions of dollars away to the migrants. Here's to connect the dots. I'm required to feed them 3 meals a day. Required. We were seeing food waste, and we were seeing money come from people who were selling us the food from outside our city. So the dollars were not being recycled back in our city. Wow. So we've got a company called Mocafy, MWBE, a black-owned company, and they say, hey, we can give you food cards where the average person is spending $11 a day for 3 meals, and you will go to the local bodegas, in the local stores, in a local supermarket, and spend the money right in the community, and it's recycled.
Wow.
We save $600,000 a month, over almost $7 million a year we're saving, and we're having no food waste because people are buying what they want to eat and not us giving them food that they don't want to eat. So they took that and said, "Oh, you just giving the migrants money," when in
meanwhile, it saved money.
Exactly.
That was the smarter way to do it.
And they finally came out and started writing editorials saying these guys are right.
Again, who these editors at? Just get them. Get them on.
You know, but on the street, people are saying, "Oh, you giving them everything, Eric." No, they sleep on cots. They have outdoor bathrooms, outdoor showers, $11 a day for meals. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I remember when they first came in, and we had them in tents in Randall's Island, and the brother, I went over to the homeless shelter on Randall's Island, and he said, "You got them in this luxury spot, gave them Game Boys." So I told him, I said, "Brother, listen, you're in the shelter here. You have your room. I see the food you're eating. You don't like it in there? You go sit in the tent. Feel free." He went over and looked at the tent. He said, I want my room back." Right.
I mean,
all that talk.
Wow.
You know, see, that's why it's important to have the street cat running the city. I can meet
you heard it here. We pulled up.
You know what I'm saying? I can meet you where you are.
That's
right. Don't try to play me.
That's right. You know but I feel like that's what you're showing.
Right.
Right? And although in the end, we're going to say, "And bring them back." Right? That's what we always do. When the good leave, we're like, we want them back.
Right. You will. People need to know you are here in the front door steps of City Hall. Of City Hall.
Okay, you heard that? From the mayor, you heard it. I didn't see it.
I'm not here. You're not here.
Okay.
You know, I'm not here. Keith Sweat is not
right.
here. We.
That's right.
In our administration, being mayor is both substantive. Mm-hmm. I got to make sure that the school is safe, people are educated, build housing, bring down crime, but it's also symbolism.
That's right.
People miss the symbolism of it.
Yes.
And part of the symbolism is opening our city to people who have traditionally been locked out. We've had yesterday I had the Peruvian community here. I mean, at Gracie Mansion. First time in the history, they celebrated their Peruvian pride. Wow. Same thing with with the first Ramadan celebration. We do flag raising at Bowling Green to give acknowledgement to various cultures. The number of flag raises we have done that have never been done in the history of this city.
I was going to say that. I never even heard of that.
Never. We just raised the Sweden flag yesterday. They said there's never been raised before. And you look at all of these different countries that now feel that they are being seen and represented in this city. We've changed the dynamic of saying this is not a monolithic city. This is a city where everyone should feel the power of government. And it's crucial what we're doing. We really open doors for people, and we remove the doors off the hinges so they never could be closed again. That's what we're doing.
See, it's one thing to open the doors, but when you remove them,
that's right. The doors are gone.
Now we're doing different work here.
Right.
We're doing real work here.
And we're proud. We got a good administration, authentic. You know, they're able to do the sister girl thing and then go sit down in the boardroom. We got a sharp team that everyone should be impressed by, and they're going to look back over this time and they're going to see what it felt like to have ordinary people running a city of ordinary people.
Wow, because we're just ordinary people.
That's all we are. That's all we are. And you know, folks tell me sometimes, you know, when I'm out and I'm hanging out somewhere and just around folks, like at night, I like driving around the hood and, you know, go to the barber shops or the beauty salons and everything closed down 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, people in the back, you know, smoking a cigar, drinking some Hennessy and just talking. I get a lot of my ideas when I'm in those settings. But people would stop me.
Tapped into the streets.
Right.
That's what we need.
But people would stop me. They say, okay, we don't want to take a picture with you drinking a single malt, smoking a cigar. I say, why? I drink single malt. And Tito's smoking a cigar. We got to be us.
Yes,
right. We got to be us. You know, and I say, if I'm out with the boys at night, I'm up with the men in the morning doing my job.
That's right.
No one's going to outwork me for the people of this city.
No one's outworking.
Right. And you learn a lot from being out there, speaking to the waiters, the cooks, the bartenders, the dishwashers, people who work midnights in the hospital, the transit workers who are working the overnight shifts. Right. You learn a lot when you meet them where they are and let them know, I see you.
And there's nothing like the job of code switching. I feel like we have been like, oh, that's fake. Oh, you cannot walk with the same bop into City Hall that we're walking into the bodega, right? And we have, and in order to be people who are going to grow into positions like this, we got to know how to code switch.
That's right.
We got to know how to turn it on and off.
That's right. Well said. Well said. And you know those different roles that you have to. This administration, we have entertained heads of states across the globe. People come here and see me and they're encouraged. Even they realize that they were ignored in previous administrations in the past. We have acknowledged them. I sit down with my corporate leaders. I'm probably one of the most supported mayors since Bloomberg, or my corporate leaders, because they know I know how to take care of business and we know how to deliver for the city. We know how to coach switch. We know if I'm hanging out in the back of that beauty salon at 12:30 a.m., that's not the same person who's sitting at 8 a.m. around a corporate boardroom.
And the beautiful freedom behind that.
Right.
We forget that?
Right.
We forget this, what we're about here, right?
That's right.
That I could come from something like, I could come from the hood and be right here in City Hall. I mean, this is such a concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Like, what we forgetting here? I feel like, what's happening out there?
Right, that's right.
I want to get into you being police enforcement then, right? NYPD, right then. And now you going into police reform.
Right.
Right? And you having to be a critic.
Right.
At the same time.
That's right.
Knowing what it is. Talk to us about that balance.
Well, you know, and people want to rewrite my history. They, you know, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this.
That's my favorite line.
I've been doing this a long time. You know, back during the mid-'70s when Clifford Glover was shot and killed. And my first introduction to Reverend Herbert Daughtry, Arthur Miller chokehold by police officers, Randolph Evans shot by a housing cop. I could give you list after list where I was there. interacting with the families from Amadou Diallo to Dorisman. I'm the only male candidate that had the endorsement by Abner Louima. He flew into the city just to endorse me because he remembered my presence. I have a history of this. I testified in federal court against the case was Floyd versus the NYPD and the over abuse of stop and frisk. When the judge wrote a ruling, she acknowledged my testimony on why she wrote the ruling the way she did against the police department. And so I fought against 1 million black and brown men stopped in this city through illegal and over aggressive police behavior. And I was part of the architect to the Rockefeller drug laws that changed those draconian drug laws based on if you had cocaine versus crack and how you treated people differently. I visited many of the inmates up in the state correctional facility as a state senator. I was a ranking person on crime and correction. There's a long history I have. And so when I talk about police injustice being the prerequisite to our prosperity, we can have both. I've never been to a community meeting. I've never been to a block association. I've never been anywhere where people say, we don't want our police. All of those numerical minority that are running around yelling, G-Band, defund, people want their police.
Of course.
But with that want, they want to be treated with respect. And every once in a while, you get a police officer who is not living up to the caliber that we expect. We need to identify them, retrain them, and if they're not retrainable, we need to move them off to the police department. That is what we have gone wrong before. We have not been clear on you cannot be abusive in the communities that you are policing. And we're seeing the difference. I'm big on building that relationship. And what we're doing in the police department right now is just unbelievable. Commissioner Stewart, who's my commissioner of community affairs, he's teaching young people golf lessons. He's teaching them how to get their pilot's license. We have a course of teaching our young people how to get their real estate license right now. He's doing this thing called baby showers, where young mothers who don't have the money to buy the basic needs, diapers, food formula, etc. He is holding these large baby showers with almost 1,000 that come out, giving them these basic needs. What he's doing, he's using his experience to go in and say, what do our children need? He's teaching bilingual courses. This is the police department. This is not some other agency. This is the police department that's saying we need to build a better symbiotic relationship, because if we prevent someone from doing a criminal action, we don't have to worry about them carrying out the criminal action.
Oh my God, that's it right there.
Right.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I could be a mayor. All the information I got today, right? So just wait for it.
No.
Mr. Adams, Eric Adams, mayor. I thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to keep talking.
Yes.
They're already signaling to me that you got a meeting to go to, that you got to get out of here.
Right.
But, oh my God, it was a blessing to be enlightened by you. To hear it from the horse's mouth, may I say, right?
Right.
This was beautiful to hear. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you using your powerful to, just inform and uplift people. People are hurting. And hurt people hurt themselves and hurt others.
That's right.
We have to really start dealing with this pain.
That's right.
This pain is real. And Councilman Borelli said something to me the other day. He's a Republican and the minority leader. And we had a press conference the other day after someone attempted to kill former President Trump. And he said something that really resonated with me. He says, it's all right to be angry. It's not all right to hate. Anger motivates. My anger of being dyslexic and not being treated for it made me angry, but it motivated me to do dyslexia screening. Anger angered me, motivated me when my mother had the bad food. We're changing the food in our schools and our hospitals. Anger made me become a police officer because of what happened to my brother and me. And it allowed me to do something with that. And so I'm saying to people, hate is when you call for the destruction of people, when you do things that are destructive and nasty and mean. I'm saying let's switch from hatred. Let's move to motivated anger. where you can stand up and say, I don't like this because it's unjust and wrong, but I'm going to use this anger and the passion that I have to correct it. Not to say you don't have to be destroyed for me to exist. We can coexist. But if you have hatred, I don't want you to coexist. I want you to coexist. And we have to move from this hatred that we're seeing and just say, let's be motivated by the anger that we feel because things are unjust. And then we could just pull up both boats.
With that said, we thank you.
Thank you.
Jacina Love, Mayor Eric Adams, we're out of here.